You clicked on this video because you want to fix your sleep. For a long time, I've had a bad habit of watching videos on my phone before bed. And as you can imagine, doing that has stopped me from going to sleep at a reasonable time. 11 p.m., 12 a.m., and sometimes even later became a regular occurrence. But that meant I didn't have a consistent sleep time. So I would either need to sleep in or sacrifice some hours of shut-eye. People say win the morning, win the day. But the morning really starts the night before. Even if I force myself to get up at the same time and follow the advice of Andrew Huberman by getting sunlight directly into my eyes first thing in the morning, I will still stay up a lot later than I should. But then I had a crazy idea. What if I had 2 phones instead of 1? Would that fix my sleep? And it turns out it has. I am now falling asleep at the same time most nights. I'm back to getting 8 hours of sleep a night, and I feel energized. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you what I've done and also how I approach problems so you can solve yours too, no matter what they are. So let's get started. A 2019 survey has shown that the average sleep time across 12 countries is 6.8 hours, 1.2 lower than the recommended. And that doesn't seem too bad, right? But studies have also shown that every night you don't get enough sleep, you accumulate sleep debt. And these studies have shown that for every hour of sleep debt you accumulate, it takes 4 days to recover from. So sleeping in on the weekends simply doesn't make up for it. And if you think you can get by on 6 hours sleep, you are fooling yourself. Matt Walker in Why We Sleep explains that only 1% of the population can actually do this. And that is completely dependent on your genetics, which is something you cannot control. So it's important to look for signs of sleep debt. And here are some examples. You don't wake up at the same time you set your alarm. This means that your body wants more sleep. You have trouble focusing. A good example is when you read, you often lose track and you have to read that sentence multiple times. You feel tired even a few hours after waking. You are a grumpy bum until you have your morning coffee. Your hormones go sideways. That includes your testosterone, boys. You lack the motivation and energy to do the things that you normally would enjoy. It's like you're trying to fill up a cup with a very large hole in the bottom of it. But the good news is, while you can't increase the flow rate from the tap, you can reduce the size of the hole. So let's talk about why we're not getting enough sleep. The first reason is a lack of education. I truly believe that not enough people understand how sleep works, how sleep is regulated. And there are 2 mechanisms for sleep. The first is your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm uses light and darkness to calibrate itself. And it partially uses melatonin to do this. When light hits your eyes, melatonin decreases, but when it's dark, melatonin increases. Whenever I go on solo multi-day hikes, I'm always reminded why this sleep-wake cycle exists. Once the sun goes down, there's really not much to do. So I may as well get in my tent and go to sleep until it is sunrise so I can see again. In contrast, in our modern lifestyles, we are constantly bombarded by light and stimulation, and it messes up with our circadian rhythm and our melatonin production. This is precisely why Andrew Huberman recommends getting sunlight into his eyes first thing in the morning, so it sets your circadian rhythm. Although my problem was different. When I was experimenting with this, it didn't help me out very much. But the key thing to keep in mind here is you have a natural circadian rhythm. It differs from person to person, and age is a very large factor. Teenagers literally seem to be wired to be night owls. It doesn't help that school schedules do not align with students' circadian rhythms. So if you find yourself in a position where you are battling with yourself, it's worthwhile to ask the question, am I trying to fight against my natural circadian rhythm? Because you probably are. The second mechanism for regulating sleep is a chemical called adenosine, It's responsible for causing sleep pressure. When adenosine levels are high in the brain, you feel sleepy, but when adenosine levels are low, you feel awake. And adenosine is depleted during sleep, so you wake up when your adenosine levels gets low. But if your alarm abruptly wakes you up mid-cycle, then the adenosine doesn't really get a chance to clear out. And so you wake up feeling a sort of sleep pressure, and you want to hit the snooze button a million times. We can't talk about sleep without talking about caffeine. And fortunately for me, my only caffeine fix is a pre-workout, maybe once or twice a week. But it's worthwhile for you to understand how caffeine actually works. So caffeine works by blocking adenosine from the receptors in the brain. If you have a coffee first thing in the morning, the remaining adenosine doesn't get a chance to clear out. And so caffeine blocks it, but once that caffeine wears off, all that adenosine pours into the receptors, causing a crash. So if you need to have a coffee in the morning, wait about 90 minutes after waking. That way the adenosine in your brain gets a chance to clear out and you won't experience that crash. And also try not to have caffeine in the second half of the day. Otherwise, again, the adenosine will be blocked and you won't feel that sleep pressure, messing up your sleep cycle. The second reason why we are not sleeping enough is because sleep is underappreciated in today's society. You have guys like Steve Harvey saying, you can't sleep 8 hours a day. That's 1/3 of your life. It's like, yeah, you dickhead. We give up 1/3 of our lives so that the other 2/3 are not a complete and utter chaotic mess. And I mean that literally. Sleep is the cleaner and organizer of your mind. You can think about your brain as a room. So as you go about your day, taking in new information, new experiences, and developing new memories, your brain gets cluttered with stuff. And you know what it's like to be in a room full of clutter. It's fucking shit, bro. Clarity is nowhere, distractions are everywhere, you can't find what you're looking for, your performance is low, you are inefficient, and you are incompetent. Sleep clears that clutter and organizes everything that is useful into its proper places. Remember, we're not meant to be doing things at night anyway. We sleep to make the most of the day. The third reason why we don't get enough sleep was my main problem. My habits were fucked, and yours are probably fucked too. But the good news is we now have the tools to fix this. You know you need to avoid sleep debt, and you know how sleep works. So now you can devise a system that suits your circadian rhythm by targeting what your bad habits are. I will guarantee you that your number one worst habit when it comes to sleep is overstimulation. I would be working on these videos late into the night, and I'll be excited and wound up by all of these ideas flowing around. Then to eventually unwind, I will watch videos. But you can see why this is a silly solution. It's too pleasurable. It's too stimulating. The videos are colorful, bright, and designed to hold your attention. I tried to work around this by establishing a hard boundary. I'm not allowed to work late into the night. So instead, I would watch a TV show. But then I'll get sucked into the story, and at the end of the episode, I'll be, one more won't hurt. And yeah, you know where it goes after that. We all know that blue light being emitted by screens is harmful to your circadian rhythm. But being dialed into highly engaging work and content is not good either. You are putting yourself into an emotional state that is not conducive for sleep. This is why fixing your sleep is so difficult. You can't do fun things. So after much trial and error, I came to the conclusion that I've been avoiding. Pleasuring myself with external stimuli is not the answer. Did you know a hot shower prompts your core body temperature to decrease? And a lower core body temperature is a signal for sleep. So if I time my hot showers to be around about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, then I put myself on a 90-minute timer to unwind for sleep. And this is where my second phone comes in. After the hot shower, my main phone is forbidden from coming into my room. Instead, it goes on charge in the kitchen. I then take my second phone into the room, but I only can read books or listen to podcasts on it. Everything else is disabled. Some chilled music comes on, the lights dim. It's a real fucking vibe, man. But to be honest, I tried to do something similar like this in the past by listening to a book or reading on my Kindle, and everything was fine until I would fall asleep and forget everything that I read or listened to. It just wasn't a smart way to go about it. Then I found Shortform, a book summary app. There are plenty of books to satisfy my curiosity, and they are detailed enough for me to highlight and take notes without being too long-winded. Within 45 minutes, I can feel the adenosine building up in my brain. I can feel that sleepiness setting in. And then it's only a matter of turning the lights off, closing my eyes, and going to sleep. This has become a ritual of mine over the last 2 weeks, and it has been working really well. You need to find things that are enjoyable, but not fun and pleasing. And then you need to do it over and over and over again until it becomes a ritual that you wouldn't want to have any other way. Well, until you want to be naughty and then everything goes out the window. But as long as you stay off Santa's naughty list, you're doing just fine. So that's it for this video. If you're watching this at an obscure time of the night, I don't appreciate you. Go to sleep. For everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you next week.